Hello guys, welcome to the orbit of the coding. I am Alok Mukhya and today I am going to explain microservice using .NET Core Part 3. So in this session I am going to explain how to create a microservice application using API gateway and oscillate packages. So you guys, if you don't go to the part 1 and part 2 section, so please visit that part 1 and part 2 so you relate uh, all the examples and all the scenario in part 3. So I'm going to Visual Studio and I will show you how to implement the microservices. So yeah, here is a Visual Studio and I already created two API, student management and student mark sheet, and one API I have already created a map API gateway. So before go to the implementation part, I will explain bit more about the previous videos. So I already explained what is microservices. So microservices is collection of small services which work together. So small services like student management, student mark sheets are the small services, and I have created a one API gateway. So API gateway, we can say that it's entry point of all the small services. Like in every incoming HTTP request should be go through the API gateway first, and API gateway decide which microservices should be called. So I'm I have already created a student mark sheet, a student management. So if you don't aware about how to create a web uh, API, then I will show you. You can go to the add section, create a new project. In the new project, you can. I am using Visual Studio 2019 ASP.NET Core version 2.1. So you can go to the ASP.NET Core Web API section, click Next. And you can say that as per your requirement, you can provide the project name, and after that, click on Create button. Once you click the Create button, then this interface should become. And after that, you can check here ASP.NET Core version is 2.1 I have used. And also you can go to you need to create a API service. So you select the API services and click Create. So once you click Create, then your API project folder should be added on this directory. But these are the another services, so I don't relate further. Just I show you the examples how to add, so I just remove. So in this section I have already created a student mark sheet, and so this all the like controllers www root 3 and models are by default created when you create any applications. So now I have created one model over there, and I added a class and put the name student mark sheet model. So these model are created. I will assign some properties over there. You can add a prop, and after you click on double tap, so automatically property should be created. You don't need to write all the things. So I can create a student ID. I just copy above line. uh, Another property I create student name that is based on the string type, city, check, and subject should be type string. Subject already created, that's why I got some error. So I have created marks. Some marks I can put the double derivatives. So I have created all the property inside the models, and after that I need to create a controller to access that particular model and assign some dummy data. Just give an example. So I need to create one model, one controller. Sorry for that. And I put, so this is the MBC controller, but I have a create a API, so I need to API controller. So API controller I will use with rewrite, add, put a name student, mark sheet. So here we can get all the default HTTP get strings, get, put, post, all the HTTP verbs. It should automatically created. So here I need to get a student mark sheet. So first of all, I need to call a model through enumerable. Then I have to pass. This is the model. So I copy the model and pass into that enumerable. And because we got this error because namespace shouldn't be added, so I have added the namespace, then its error should be gone. And after that I remove that particular things, and I create a student model object, and assign some hard-coded value. In this example, I will not show you the like data how to access the database. I just show you how to small services work together to communicate with the API gateway, how microservices are behave like that. You already aware about that web API, how to get API, how to access. If you need, then put on the comment section. I will explain how web API call with the data access layer database, communicate with the database, and how to call it is. I will explain it later. Just I will provide the some hard coded value over there. Student ID, name, A L O K, your address, city, Noida, and after that subject math marks, 78 marks are there. So I can, so here I will have create a student mark sheet and assign some hard coded value. And then after that I create a list, type student mark sheet, lst, create a new mark sheet. After that I have list dot add object of a student, return obj, Now I return the list. Right. So I have already created assigned some value. So if you call the particular a model, then all the data should become. So on the similar basis, I have already created a student management API services. In this services, uh, I have already created a student management model. So student ID, name, address provided, and after that similarly I have create a student controller and then assign some value and call it similarly. After that I will go to, and I have already created a map API gateway. So this is important for the how to map all two services. But first we let me check all services are working correctly or not. So you can so I need to put startup multiple startups over there. So you can go to the right click on that particular things and go to the properties, and in the property you can see I have, if you see single startup project, then only API gateway should be called first. If you select multiple startup, then all the startup projects should be created. You can apply and put it further. So once we start the particular things, so we can check API gateway should return something or not. It will taking few seconds to compile and build all the applications. System is bit slow. So here all the API service and gateway are browse. So you can, here you can see it will taking a few seconds. Oh, that's This is the API gateway implementation, and here you can say student management. It returns student ID, name, address, and on the third, this is already loaded. It shouldn't be return anything. I need to check. I put the debugger over there. It's should be called, but it shouldn't be hit that particular thing. So I need to build that whole project, I guess. But already, if we start, then it's already built that project. But why it's not calling that? I need to check. At this time, I just put one Marxist stuff because I need to check the why Marxists API won't work. So I put the startup single project student mark sheet, go to that particular things and run. I need to check on the routing sections. Is routing properly or not in the launch settings. API is okay. The controller name shouldn't be matched. That's why it's not calling. It's here. Agent mark sheet, but this is the different controller. So I need to put the correct controller name in the launch settings. So I need to put oh, it's I need to put student mark sheet controller name. Here the name is not correct. Now it will call perfectly API. It will take some times. Yeah, and now it seems to be debugger. Again, debugger is not hit. I need to check again. So I have missed the profiler sections. Already a student. So these profiles automatically called by default. So I also change the launch URL the correct controller, and then now build that solution and go to the yeah. It's now hit, and you can see that all the data should be written. So now I will show you the API gateway. So in the API gateway, how to API gateway how to communicate with the two service, two small service, student management and student marksheet. So first you need to add packages, oscillate packages. So I have already added oscillate packages. So yeah, you can see that oscillate package version 13.0. So Ba- based on the oscillate package, you have to communicate with all the small services. So I already add. You can go to the Nugget package and add the oscillated. So you have to add on the success, and after that, first if you add that oscillate packages, then you need to change some code on the program.css. You need to provide the correct web host builders. So here I have assigned create some provide some hosting path, and after that add JSON oscillate the JSON. So oscillate the JSON files is work as routing. So every request is come to the API gateway, then it's a route to the different services. So API oscillate the JSON should be work as a routing for to a small to other and number of small services. So you need to put the same name oscillate JSON. If you provide some different, it might be get some error. API gateway won't be communicate with the small services. So you need to put the same name. And after that, you can see that I need to uh, add the services oscillate services in the configure services. If we add any services, then I need to register that particular services. So I add on the configure method, I just add the service dot add oscillate. And after that, you need to onto the go to the configure method, you need to app.oscillate.wait, because multiple oscillate requests are requests are coming, so you need to add the wait. And after that, I'm go to the oscillate.json files. So here, this is the routing section. So you can add the reroute attributes in this section. You have to add downstream template, downstream and upstream template. So I will explain bit more about on the next session what is downstream path template and what is upstream down template. So so here you can provide that in template to the API student management path, and in the scheme you have to uh, path HTTPS and downstream host and port. You need to assign the host name is localhost, and you have to assign the ports that is. So you port should be same as the you already created on the student management section. So port should be same. Here you can see that what port is exactly. So in the launch settings you can see the port SSL port is 44361. So you can assign the same ports on the student management API. And after that, you need to register the student marksheet. So these two services, student management and student marksheet, I have already registered on the oscillate JSON files. So once you hit that particular things, so all the services should be so here is the example. So if you call the API gateway student marksheet on the URL, right? If you call the student marksheet API on the URL, then it's automatically redirect the API student marksheet. So these are the main feature of the uh, we can say that API gateway routing is more validation. So if you because these routing like student marksheet API gateway, this is the different part. This is the API gateway path. So you can communicate with the API gateway to the API services marksheets and student management. So these are the most beneficial to the routings. So yes, once you can restart all that particular things. I have only set a one startup projects. So I need to set multiple startup project. Apply. Okay. And here you can see that all the API should be initializing and calling that particular strings. So so it says that debugger I can F5, and here you can see that student management API service is called, and student marksheet API should be called. So once you provide these URL, right? So like API gateway student marksheet, and you have to put that SSL port should be the same, because this is the API gateway, right? So it's already called the, well, by default strings is written. So once in that SSL port 44360, once you assign that this path, then it should automatically communicate with the student mark sheet. And when you uh, uh, put that URL API gateway student management, that is communicate with the API gateway services. So it's communicate one by one services as per the requirement. So thank you for this watching this video is already should extended to many 25 minutes. I will explain more about the upstream part tablet, downstream part tablet, and all the schemes in the next video. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe this video. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.